This is Lena with Especially Made for Me. Thank you for joining and watching. We're gonna be doing a new project today. I kind of started looking at my previous tutorials because I was asked for something in particular and to send a link, and in doing that, trying to find what I was being asked for, I noticed I haven't done a tutorial on the pumpkins that I make. So tonight we're gonna make one of them. The last one I made, I thought I had a video and uploaded it, and I couldn't find it, unfortunately, but I made one years ago before even getting on YouTube. So anyways, we're gonna do a pumpkin today. I know it might be considered a little bit late for making a pumpkin, but we're still in October, right? So, and the thing with doing the pumpkins is that you can really decorate them anyway. With it being October, you could do Halloween, you could dress it up for the fall, and there's different things you can do with it just by changing the color of your mesh, you know, just kind of twisting it around. You can make a mummy, you can make the Grinch, and anyways, all sorts of different things. So I will show you how I do that. The picture I have on the thumbnail is actually from the one I made years ago, and I was hoping I could find that the video, because that was before we got on YouTube, but I thought I had recorded it and I was gonna do an upload of it, but at least that way you can see the picture, because on the picture for the one that I did years ago, I'm using wired ribbons to decorate the top of the pumpkin, and today we're actually going to be using some mesh to decorate the top of the pumpkin and some florals. So we're going to go ahead and, as usual, change our view of the camera. Let's see, this is not, I want to make sure I put this on silent. And hopefully you're able to see me and hear me okay. Put the volume all the way on mute. Sorry, y'all. Just want to make sure we don't get interrupted. Let me hide it over here somewhere. Okay, so I'm going to change the view of the camera. Before that, if you don't mind, if you haven't already done so, do give thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already done so. Ring that doorbell. As I say, click on that doorbell so you can also get the notifications when we go live or upload a premiere. That way you'll be notified. So without further ado, we're going to go to that multiple view. You should still see me on the upper corner of your video camera or your TV or phone, depending on what you're using. And you should also have a top view, bird's eye view of my working table, my arts and crafts table, so that you could also see it from the top. So hopefully that'll give you a couple of angles to see what we're doing and kind of get a good view, so that if you're not working on this with me and you're watching the replay later and getting your supplies later, you'll be able to know exactly what we're doing and how we're making it. So we're going to need a few supplies. I did put them on the description on the bottom of the video. So we're going to need some chenille stems, and I think I forgot to actually put that on there. And I apologize if you heard my husband sneezing. God bless you. So we're going to need chenille stems. Of course, you're going to need a wreath form. You're going to need your preferred color pumpkin color mesh. We're going to use a 21-inch. So I say that because, of course, you can make them orange. You can make them like an off-white, or, you know, there's so many different colors out there for the pumpkins. So you decide what color you want your pumpkin to be. Or if you're going to make the Grinch, of course, you want to get your green, or, you know, your mummy for, you know, those that do the Halloween could do some white and so on. So anyways, for a pumpkin, I'm going to be doing orange today. So you're going to need that. You're going to need, since we're not going to be using wired ribbons for decorating, you're going to need a couple of pieces of at least 2 different colors of green. And I'm using the 10-inch. I have this dark green, like a mauve type color. And I left a couple, this one uncut, so I can show you what I did with these. We're going to be making some leaves. So you're going to need 2. And those were cut at 10 inches. So we're going to be doing that together with the other green. Going to need some floral picks. Again, of your choice to decorate the top of your pumpkin. I just brought a couple of different ones because I do like having some berries and some pine cones and little flowers and leaves. And I thought with all this orange and burgundy reds, we might need some yellow. So I do have some leaves, you know, because I'm making mine fall. But again, you could always decorate yours, you know, for Halloween or do some other decoration. Get a couple of flowers. Wasn't too sure of which one I would like best to go on the bow. So I have one burgundy red and one with that orange yellow, like a yellow with a hint of orange. And this is for the top of the bow, just so that we can provide some coverage for our middle. And I don't think I'll use this other big pine cone. So for our bow, instead of using the wired ribbon, we're going to be using some Deco mesh ribbon, and this one is the 2.5 inch. So we'll be making just a quick easy bow with that, and then decorating it with some florals on the top of it. Now, as an optional, you can also get these metal, they sell them at the dollar store. It's like a pack of 3, I think. Yes, 3. And they have different wordings in there. We have welcome, I think it's harvest, and I can't remember what the other one, thankful, I think. It's got harvest. I don't know if you can, maybe, depending on how the light hits it, you can see that. But you definitely will be able to see that on the orange. And thankful. So that's something else you can add to your pumpkin, like right in the middle, if you choose to. Just wanted to give you some options there. I'm not actually going to be doing that today. I'm pretty much going to go with the same look as what I did last year. Not last year, a few years ago. And with the exception of changing the top. So that's all the supplies you're going to need. You're going to need your glue gun or your skillet, some glue sticks. And I do like to use a couple of zip ties just to secure the mesh, just like I do with our wreaths and our swags and things of that nature. We're going to use 2 little ones. And if we need more for everything else, I do have the packs here. So we're going to go ahead and get started. I'm going to move the mouse out of the way, just so we can get started here. Let me know if any questions, and if you don't mind, let me know if you're watching live or doing the replay, where you're watching from, if you don't mind. Maybe your first name, if you're comfortable with sharing that. So I am going to put my roll of mesh on my mesh roller here, just to make it a little bit easier to control. But if you don't have this, I do believe I have the link on the bottom, underneath the description of the video. So you could always use that, and I'm actually going to switch it to the middle. You could always do that purchase if you'd like. I do get a couple of pennies. It is an affiliate link. But if you don't, or if you don't currently have one and you're wondering, well, how can I have something to hold the roll and it not be all over the floor and all that kind of thing without having one of these mesh rollers, you can, what I used to use before is a bag, like a trash bag, and I would put it in there while I'm working, so that way even if as it rolled, I would secure the bag underneath my little table that I was using back then, and then I would just let it roll inside the bag. You could also use a box. Get a big enough box that your roll fits in, and because it's tall, it's not going to go anywhere as you're pulling. So that's another option as well. So I am going to start my mesh. Now you can start this right on the table and just scrunch it. I like getting the 2 corners in and then getting it to the middle and then doing it again to kind of scrunching it. But that kind of helps with getting the edges in, because we want this to be thick as we're rolling it, so that it can provide us with some coverage. So the key with this is we want to start all the way at the end. We're actually going to be working with our first and second rims. And we're going to start with our small set of crossbars here on the side. This is going to end up being our side. And we're going to secure it here with the zip tie, and then we're going to be using chenille stems throughout until we get to the end. Now on the first one, we're going to stay as far out as we can because we want to make sure we get to the side of it to kind of reshape, since our pumpkins are not usually a perfect circle. That'll give it a little bit of shape, and then you'll see what I mean. The other thing that we're going to concentrate on as we go, so it does take some working, is that we're going to be securing this on the back end, even though our mesh is going to be here in the front. As we go up and down, instead of going around, we're going to go up and down. We want to secure it to the back of our wreath form. That being said, let's go ahead and get it secured, shall we? See, make sure you have a good angle there. And again, we're just going to go using that first and second, and we're going to secure our mesh. Now you can use a longer zip tie if you're more comfortable with a longer one. That's quite all right. That's nothing wrong with that. I just use a smaller one just because we don't really need a whole lot, and we're still going to be using the chenille stems as we go. This is just for some extra security. Okay, so we're in the back of it, and all we're going to be doing as we're scrunching it, we want to make sure our edges are going in still, because we want it to be nice and thick. And we're just going to pull, and now we're going to secure on this other one here. Okay, and depending on how thick your mesh is, you may need to scrunch it some more, or even go double if you like. Depends on how you feel. The idea is to cover the wire. Okay, and again, we're securing on the back side. I'm going to try to move this over so you can see what I'm doing. Okay, let's see. Hopefully you can see there. So what we're doing is securing without letting that chenille stem show. Okay, and I have these cut in half, by the way, because you don't need much. So you can pull as you need to. Oops. Again, we just want to make sure it's on the side to kind of break that rounded look. If you need to pull a little bit tighter, you can pull it and just keep going from there. You'll have to work the mesh as you go. Okay, nice and tight. We're going to give it a couple of twists. Okay, now we're going to do the same thing, making sure our edges are up towards the middle. The more we pack it in, the better, because it's going to make it thicker to provide that coverage. We want to make sure our top is always what's displayed. Remember, we're on the back tying it, so we got to flip our wreath form. And we're going to do the same thing. We're going to go right next to it and secure it using that first and second rim on the other side on the back. And we're going to keep going that way and twisting back and forth until we fill our wreath form. You can go ahead and put your chenille stems in ahead of time if you like, just so that you already have them there. You may just have to keep them a little bit loose because you may need to move them, because again you also have to work your deco mesh to make sure it's where you want it to be. Get it positioned where you want it. And at first you may have to do them fairly close, and once you get towards the middle you may not need as much on the coverage, or you may need a little bit more on the coverage. Again, this all will depend on the mesh that you're using. The thicker your mesh, the less scrunching you'll have to do, and the less particular you'll have to be on your positioning of your mesh. Did I twist this twice? I'll make sure I don't twist it twice. Okay, here we go. Alright, I'm going to turn it over so that we can go ahead and tie our mesh. And all I'm doing is tying it on the back end. If you can see that, hopefully. If not, let me know. I'll try to get a little bit closer on the camera. Okay, same thing here. We want to make sure our edges are all the way in towards the center. And since we want our top of the mesh, we want to make sure we give it a twist before we bring it wrap around, and then stretch on over. Okay, now you could already see how it's taking shape, and it also helps with putting those little lines that you normally would see on a pumpkin. So that'll give it a more natural look as well. And because it's crunched, it gives you that coverage. Okay, again, just making sure it's nice and tight, and give it a couple of twists, or 3, depending on where you're comfortable with making sure it's secure. And again, gather your mesh. Twist on over so we'll have that pop. I'm going to go ahead and do a couple more here just to have them ready. I find that actually helps me go a little bit faster, but if I am going a little too fast, let me know. So I want to make sure you can see what we're doing. So that you can make your own. And there's many ways of making these pumpkins. You could always do it with the poof method or the curling method and making some bundles. But I like the way this one method looks. To me, it makes it look more like an actual pumpkin.